So good morning. Today we're going to do a yin-ish class, a yin yoga class. So it will be holding the pose for time and working on developing our resilience. You are your own best teacher, and you shouldn't feel any pain, but you may feel some discomfort. So you'll want to work towards that edge of discomfort, and then you can draw back and you can stay with it enough that you rise to the challenge, but never to the point of pain. So my name is Janice Williamson, and I'm teaching in sunny Alberta. And I need some equipment here today. So I have several blocks. I have an eye pillow. I have something to sit on. So I just have a little towel, little blanket, and a strap, and I think that's it. That's all I need. So I like to, when I'm sitting, I like to sit uh, with my hips on something, raising them up a little. It allows me to tip forward and helps with my opening of my hips, etc. So we're just sitting here in Baddha Konasana, or cobbler pose, or butterfly in yin. And uh, I'm just going to begin with some pranayama. And the pranayama I'm doing is just to develop a full bodied inhalation and exhalation. So it's a 3-part inhalation. First into your belly, then into your ribs, and then into your upper chest. And then we're going to exhale from the top down. So inhale and then exhale. Inhale and then exhale. If this is too much in your groin, you can lift your legs up with a block and give yourself a little support. And you can lower it over time. So we're just going to sit here for a couple of moments. I'll set the timer so I don't torment you. And we're inhaling and exhaling. And the theme today was suggested by one of my teachers, Pat Harada Linfoot, and it is centering. And the origins, the Sanskrit origins of Hatha Yoga are from the 2 syllables, ha, tha. And ha is the active principle, or the sun, and in traditional metaphoric terms, the masculine. And the tha is the feminine, traditionally feminine, receptive, mutable, changing, and I said receptive. So these 2 principles are in opposition. And so our class today is going to be about centering ourselves. So we're going to work on developing our yin poses on one side, and then we're going to develop them on the other. And then we're going to see how this feels in terms of feeling centered in our body. So we're inhaling and we're exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. So that's enough time. We'll return to Baddha Konasana later. But for now, we're going to move into tabletop. So we'll just bring our legs together. We can use our hands if we like, and move on to our hands and knees. And here we are inhaling and exhaling. We are planting our hands on the ground. And this can be a very good finger and hand stretching. And we can move back into what would be child's pose. And I'm pressing into my toes here just to stretch them out and give them a little opening. And I'm pressing into my hands at the same time. And then I'm pressing forward and I'm going a little bit further in order to give my wrists a little stretch. So I'm just going to go back and forth here. And yin is usually taking a pose in a and remaining in it in a static way. But we're going to introduce some movement in the interstices between the yin poses. So here we are. We have a little bit of movement here. And now I'm going to turn my hands so that you decide what feels comfortable for you. You put your fingers pointing out, or you can put your hands so that your fingers are pointing back. And this is really a good wrist opening. And I'm just moving back and forth, finding my edge here because it is quite uncomfortable. It's a real stretch here. But considering how much time one spends at the keyboard, this is not a bad thing. And I'm moving my hips around and around one way, and then I'm moving them around and around another way. Okay, now I'm moving my hands out, facing outwards here. And I'm just going to do cat and cow. So I'm drawing my navel up towards my spine and I'm exhaling. And now I'm through my nose, I'm inhaling. And then I'm exhaling. And I'm inhaling. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And you can continue in your own rhythm with our cat and cow in tabletop. And now I'm just going to tip back onto my toes and sit in the yin toe squat position, which is not exactly comfortable, but it is curative. It helps with our balance. It helps develop our mobility in our toes, and it gives us a sense of accomplishment to actually sit in this. So you may have young toes, you may have old toes, you may have toes that have seen broken bones or difficulty in your ankle or whatever. So you are your own best teacher. You decide how long you want to stay here. If it is too much for you, you can of course just move forward and you can slap your feet and give yourself a little break and move back into it, or move into child's pose. You decide what you want to do. And And here I'm breathing. I'm going to open my arms up and look up to my thumbs. And then I'm going to draw my hands down again. These are just a bit of shoulder opening. The beginning of class. And now I'm going to do drop my chin to my chest and look up to my third eye between my brows. And then I'm going to drop my head back and look to my nose. And I'm dropping my head down again. And then up, looking at my nose. Down again. And looking to my nose. Looking between my brows as I drop my chin. And lifting up. And now I'm looking over my right shoulder. And then my left shoulder. Right shoulder. Left shoulder. Right shoulder. Left shoulder. And now I'm drawing my neck up on the diagonal here to the ceiling and looking up to the ceiling with the corner of my eye. And now I'm doing the other side. And now this side. Good. Now we're going to come out of this and go forward. And that was about 2.5 minutes. And now we're going to slap our feet on the ground just to make them come alive again. And you can do this movement, which I really loathe, but I will demonstrate it for you. I'm not sure how long I can do it, but I'm just leaning back here with my feet flat, and I am lifting my knees up so that I'm opening the front of my feet. And it's a very uncomfortable position, I can tell you. So you just decide whether you want to do this or not. I'm only going to do it for a minute because it's too much for me. Less than a minute, as it turns out. Anyway, here we go. So we're coming back. And now I'm just going to lift up again. And I'm going to just do because it feels like I need to have a little back bend here. I'm just going to do Sphinx for a moment. So I have my elbows underneath my shoulders. My feet are flat. My hands are flat on the ground. The fronts of my feet are flat on the ground, and I am pressing into my hands, and I'm drawing my elbows towards my torso, and that gives me a little bit of more opening here. And as I rest here in this position, in this Sphinx pose, I can imagine myself moving my hands out a little further into a seal pose. So you can move your hands out towards the corners of your mat, the outside of your mat, and pressing up through your hands here so that you have a larger movement in your spine. So your hips are on the ground and you are just pressing into the floor and opening up your chest, so you're breathing deeply into your chest. And you are feeling a lovely sense of expansion in your breath. And I'm looking over my right shoulder. And then I'm looking over my left shoulder. And I'm going to drop my head down. I have neck issues, so I'm just going to let my head drop so that it's more comfortable. And we're breathing here, feeling that activity of the Ha that we're pressing into the hands, feeling the active solar energy of the pose, as well as feeling the receptive energy in the pose. That is, our the lower part of our body is simply resting on the floor. I'm pressing my pelvis into the ground. And I shouldn't feel any strain in my lower back. If you do, then lower down. You don't want to feel strain in your lower back at all. And I'm looking forward to another summer day. And now I'm going to just come down and rest my cheek on my hands that are acting as a pillow here. And I'm going to turn my toes towards each other and just have a little rest. A time for our muscles and our body to restore itself. And now I'm turning my head to the other side to give some balance here, a sense of equilibrium in the movements. And then I'm putting my hands under my shoulders and I'm pressing back into a child's pose here. If this is too challenging for you, you can put something underneath your buttocks, your thighs, your glutes to give you a bit of support. So we just have our arms extended here. It's a lovely stretch. And we can walk our hands over towards the right to give us a little bit of side stretch. And then over towards the left. And we're going to come up into downward dog. So we press our feet into the ground, our toe mounds, and we can bend our knees. You can keep your knees bent here if you like. If you have any pain in your lower back when you're doing this, if you have tight hamstrings, it's best to keep your feet, your legs bent, or you can pedal them out if you like. You don't want to overstretch your lower back. So otherwise you can straighten your legs, and if you don't suffer from hyperextension, pressing back through your thighs, pressing your calves back, pressing your knees back to straighten your legs is a perfectly legitimate practice. And overextension doesn't really happen except for those who are predisposed to overextension and have very, very flexible joints, which is for the most part, a genetic alternative to the way others are built. Okay, so we're just pressing back with our thighs, feeling this pose, that we're inside it, that we're breathing. We can draw our shoulders up towards our ears and then lower them down. We're turning our upper arms out, rotating them out, external rotation here. And we're just relaxing our head. And we're feeling, we can bend our knees here, and then we can really press down and press up through our tailbone and feel that making a big difference. And once again, we can just bend our knees, release them, and then we can go back into the pressing the heels towards the ground. They may be on the ground, or if they are, you can put your feet further out and give yourself a bigger stretch. And you should feel the stretch through the length of your hamstrings. It shouldn't be in the
attachment in the upper part of your legs into your hips. All right, now we're just going to lift our right leg up, and we're going to let's lift our left leg up, and then bring your knee into your chest, and then bring that knee forward so that the foot is directly underneath your knee, and you can sit up here so that you can see that you are in a good position. Your other leg is back, but we're going to move into dragon. So we're leaving our foot here, and we're going to drag send our rear leg back so that we are in dragon. So you can have your hands on both sides of your foot. You can take blocks, and you can use these as supports in order to give you a bit more height, which might be helpful. And you can put your blocks at any height here. And I'm just drawing my leg back here. Or you can be on the ground. And you can put both your hands on the inside of your leg. If you like, you can turn your hands so that your fingers are facing back and continue with your work on your wrists and your fingers. And this is a very powerful pose. And we are just resting here. Now, if you like, you can come down onto your elbows in this pose. And if that's too much, you can put your forearms on a block or two, and that will give you an opportunity to descend, but not quite to the floor. This is really a very big hip opener. And so if you feel it's just too excruciating, just send your hips back and straighten up your front foot, and it'll give you an alternate exercise that we will do after this. But we're just going to stay here for another moment. And now I want you to come up and press into the floor. Draw that that hip back, and just flex your foot. And this will lengthen the hamstring. And we'll just rest here. You can have blocks under here if you like. You want to sit up. And you can sit down here if you like, so that you are your one leg is bent, your other leg, the foot is flexed. And I'm going to use a block here just to stabilize me. And we're just going to stay here for a moment. Okay, so now we're going to come up and we're going to go into pigeon on the same side. So this is going to feel like we're really asymmetrical at this point, but you're going to come up and that same leg that was drawn forward in dragon, we're going to draw it forward on the diagonal in pigeon. And once again, we're going to draw those feet back here and press into the tops of the foot. And here, this is in Yin Yoga. This is swan. It's pigeon in Hatha Yoga, swan in, and you can use blocks here to maintain you. So this is a lovely back bend, and you can use blocks to extend that back bend a little bit further. You decide on the height that you want. And you can put, if you like, a support underneath your hip if it's uncomfortable. Otherwise, you just stay with the challenge of swan. So this is upright swan. And you can stay here. This provides you with an excellent back bend and a real opening in the front of your hip flexor, that leg that's extended back, and a real opening in your glute, in your front bent leg. Your toes are pointed here. The full expression of this is with your front leg at 90 degrees, your hip flex, your foot flex. But I do it like this. You have the option of, if you have particularly mobile body, you can do the full expression of the pigeon or the swan. Now we're going to go into sleeping swan, and this is just walking your hands forward and flowing over your front leg. And you can use your hands as a pillow for your forehead, or you could put your forehead on a block. You don't want to strain your neck. And here, you're just inhaling and exhaling, feeling the action of the movement, the fact that we have found ourselves, we put ourselves in this place through movement. And now the receptive part of it is just staying with the pose, working with your breath. And if this is too much, you can come out of it and then go back into it, or you can come out of it and just go into a child's pose. So this is the Hatha of yoga, the active energy and the receptive energy, and the way your body changes in the midst of it. And now we're going to come out of this, and we can just go back onto our hip and move into a straddle pose. So we'll just keep the same leg. We're going to do this in an asymmetrical way. This class is intended to give us a sense of the asymmetry that we can make in our body and how it is we can find our center again. So we take the same leg that's bent and we bring it in towards our groin and we extend our leg out. Now, you might want to have a strap around this leg. And we're going to do a, a side bend over. So we're just going to hold on to our belt, or you could hold on to the shin, or you could hold on to your toes. And your big toe with your two index finger and your next finger. And we're just going to stretch our arm up and move it over so that we're in a side bend here. Now, if that's too much, you may be up here, and that's fine. You're just doing a side bend. And, or you can put a block in front of you and use your elbow. This is quite a nice little side bend here. So you put your hand in your ear, you drop your elbow to the block, and you lift your other arm up, your other elbow up. So this is a lovely stretch. And you're trying to extend your body out, your elbow out towards your foot, and your foot is flexed. This is a very demanding pose, actually. It doesn't look like it's too demanding, but it is. All right. Set the timer again. So we're in this for a couple of moments. And you decide where you want to be, on your elbow with that other elbow lifted, on your elbow with your arm over your ear, or stretching out along your leg and with your arm extended. And you want to see if you can lift your chest up. You want to see if you can rotate your chest towards the ceiling as you are extending yourself out towards your foot. So this is a really deep side bend. We're working here, of course, on spinal mobility, and we've been doing back bends, and we've been doing some forward work with our cat and cow, and here we are working on our side bend. And if you feel you need to come up, you can come up and press into your arm and move the other way, and then you can go back into it. It's a demanding pose. And some yin yoga teachers basically just tell you to hold the pose no matter what. But with my aging body, I'm much more tender with my body, and I really take discomfort as an indicator of my limits. So I do come up and move back into it. Plus, our muscles, they work in part through intense effort and then release, and then reapplying the effort and seeing where your muscles can go. So now we can come up here, and we're just going to go into Baddha Konasana, or butterfly. And you can, if you have a long belt, you can, this is really my favorite pose, I think, of all time. I think because it's so beautifully supported, but you need to have a long belt. I got this through Half Moon, which doesn't really exist any longer, but you can find them on the internet, these long belts. This is 8 feet, I think. And I just have them around my feet and around my waist here. Under there. Oops. I've got them. I can't even remember how to do this actually. Oh well. Anyway, I'm just drawing my feet in here. And I have my belt working to give me some support in the back. You can see it's around my waist as it's also drawing my feet in. It's a lovely pose actually, especially with a belt, I think. And I'm holding onto my toes. Gives me a little added pressure here. And I am sitting up. I'm going to readjust this. This is the way it's supposed to be. Over the top of your feet and underneath your knees and around your back. You should feel your head moving up from the crown chakra. And axial elongation, your axial spine, includes the bones in your ears, and it goes from the tip top of your spine down to your sacrum and your tailbone. And you should feel all of those bones aligning and as you're lifting up. And as you hold onto your toes or your feet or your ankles, you can breathe in and breathe out and feel the opening of your groin as your knees descend to the floor. And then we can come out. That's been 3 minutes. And you can take the strap off if you have it. And we're now going to go into a kind of reverse butterfly, which is a kind of reverse tabletop position here. So I'm just putting my hands behind me, and I am keeping my feet in Baddha Konasana, and I'm just lifting myself up. I think I'm lifting myself up, pressing into my feet and lifting my torso up. And I'm rocking a little bit here, but this is just a nice counter pose here. And then I'm ready to come down. Good. Now, we're going to do the other side. So we're going to go back once again to dragon with I was using my left foot. So now I'm using my right foot in front. And I'm just going to draw that leg back again. And I must find my blocks again. So here we go. So this is at 90 degrees. In the back, you're just bringing your leg back, and you can have your feet on your hands on both sides of your foot. You can draw them back and feel a nice back bend here. You can put your hands down on the inside of your foot, on blocks or on the ground, or you can lower down. You decide what you want to do. And I'm going to go down on my elbows, but I'm going to use a block here, 2 blocks actually, and feel a lovely opening in that front hip flexor here and in my groin. And this is a very intense pose. So if it's too much, just come back and then go back into it. But staying with it is the goal of our Yin Yoga, which is intended to develop resilience and the kind of staying power through challenges and difficulties. So once again, the challenges are discomfort, not pain. And you might find the longer you stay in this pose, the more mobility you have in your hip, and you can maybe go down to the ground here. And you're breathing through your nose. Deep breaths. And you can breathe here into your back body and your front body. And now I'm just going to come back, pressing into the ground. And I'm pressing back. And I have a problem with my knee, so I always place something behind my knee when I'm going back into anything that strains it in any way. So I'm just going back here, straightening the front leg, and then I'm sitting down on the other leg. So, and I'm just finding this not terribly comfortable, but not terribly uncomfortable. And I'm just going to stay here for a moment or two. And now we're going to come forward and work once more on our pigeon on this side, so that we have an opportunity to develop a symmetrical practice. And once again, we're up in pigeon or swan, upright swan, which has a back bend quality to it. And you can use blocks to give you height and help you extend your back bend a little bit further. I'm pressing into my hands, and I'm feeling really a big opening in my front hip flexor here, and I'm feeling an opening, a stretch in my glutes on the other side. And I'm focusing on my breath and on feeling centered in this pose. Can I feel centered in a pose that is so asymmetrical? Do I remember the feeling of this pose on the other side? And can I imagine that by doing both sides, I'm developing a sense of being present in the moment and centered in the practice? And now I'm going to draw down into a sleeping swan. And I'm just going to rest my forehead on my hands that act as a pillow. And I'm feeling an increasing tension in my right glute. It's my right leg that's forward. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to return to that pose that we had, the side bend. And this is drawing the heel towards your groin and extending that leg out. You might be here or here or here, and you might be using a strap to work with your side bend. This is a handy loop for your foot. And you want to just stretch out over your side and feel an opening here. And you could open your chest up. You'll find that you're not symmetrical in this, this side is much more demanding for me. I'm going to put my elbow here and put my elbow up and see how I do. It's much more difficult in this side for me. But I'm turning, working to turn my chest up, rotating and lengthening at the same time. So I have a sense of extension and also turning. And I'm breathing. And now we're going to come up and we're just going to go into straddle pose with both legs out briefly. And we can lean forward and put our elbows or our forearms on a block. So I'm feeling the opening that I've already accomplished on both legs. And I'm feeling a sense of release in my upper torso. And you can find your way to in this pose in your own time. If you like, you can hold on to your toes or your feet. And you can feel the tipping of in your hips as you're tipping forward here. And I'm going to walk my hands back. And then I'm just going to move onto my back with my block close at hand. So we're going to move onto our back. We're going to place a block underneath our sacrum, which is the flat part of the base of your spine. And I'm just going to extend my legs out, flexing my heels in this. It's a supported bridge pose. It's a very lovely, very quite a modest back bend, but a lovely one nonetheless. And you find a good place for you to be. And you can have your legs extended out here for a moment, and we'll do a few variations here. So you can keep your legs here if you like, or if you want to, you can bend your knees into your chest and raise your feet up and do a little bit of an inversion. And in our practice, inversions are part of the yoga practice. Some of you will be doing handstands and headstands and shoulder stands, and those of us who have compromised necks will be doing this. So we'll do legs up the wall, or we'll do this kind of inversion, which accomplishes much the same, but without the strain on your neck, potential strain on your neck, of course. You're not supposed to strain your neck in the other poses, but it's possible that you would, and it's not recommended for people with neck issues. I'm pressing out through my feet here, and I feel it's a very relaxing pose. You can, of course, do this against the wall with your legs up the wall as a final relaxation. This pose allows you to really open your chest up because there is a little back bend, and your chest is, your ribs are expanded in the front, and you have more space to inhale and exhale. And let's do a couple of breaths counted. So we'll go inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. And now return to your own breathing. And we can bend our knees into our chest, put our feet on the ground, raise our hips up, remove the block, and roll our spine down to the floor. And then extend our legs out, just bend our legs so that they are the width of your feet are the width of the mat. And you can do a kind of wide-legged windshield wiper. This is actually very effective. I like this wide-legged windshield wiper. It allows you to rotate your femur in your hip, and it allows you to stretch a little bit your hip flexors. And it's a very relaxing movement here. And now we can just lift our right leg up, cross it over our left, move our hips towards the right, and then drop our knees to the left and look out towards the opposite extended arm. This is a kind of quite an aggressive twist. You might just want to drop your knees to one side and forget about the hooking of the leg under the thigh and the added twist. This can just be as easy as your both feet on the ground, bent knees, dropping your knees to one side and then to another. And now we're going to lift our legs up again. And once again, we're going to extend our left leg out, wrap it around our right thigh, lift our hips up and move them towards the left, drop the knees towards the right, and extend your left arm out so that you are looking over towards your left in a really nice stretch. You could put your hand on your thigh and gently provide a little weight if you like. And now we're lifting our legs up again, centering our hips and extending our legs out for a very deep relaxation. We've really done a lot of work today with our YIN yoga practice, centering our body. We should feel a sense of balance in our body between the activity and movement and hot energy of the poses and the receptive quality of YIN yoga, the settling in, the softening. And we're inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling, and feeling everything let go. And I have two short readings. One is a reading that allows us to be present. It's from Thich Nhat Hanh, one of his mindfulness trainings. Aware that life is available only in the present moment, we are committed to training ourselves to live deeply each moment of daily life. We will try not to lose ourselves in dispersion or be carried away by regrets of the past, worries about the future. We will practice mindful breathing to be aware of what is happening in the here and now. We are determined to learn the art of mindful living by touching the wondrous, refreshing, and healing elements that are inside and around us in all situations. And then this is a beautiful poem story by the Buddhist teacher, the late Charlotte Joko Beck. And she quotes a poem by Kajiwara Hashin, an old Japanese haiku from 1864, the only poem of Hashin's that has survived. And he writes, "There is neither heaven nor earth, only snow falling constantly. And Joko back writes, you may think, isn't that nice? The snow is always falling. But let's change that a little bit. Suppose I'm sick, and this poem went, there is neither heaven nor earth, only illness pounding steadily. Or there is neither heaven nor earth, only old age approaching steadily. Sometimes people come into the Zen center and ask me if I know the meaning of life. Well, of course I do. Only snow falling constantly. There is only illness, only separation, only clouds happening and happening and happening. Life isn't miserable or terrible. It's just what it is. And that can take the form of severe misery at times, tremendous joy at other times, or some feeling between the two. There is neither heaven nor earth, just poached eggs sitting on the table, whatever it is, right there. So I hope this practice has centered you in your day that is unfolding in front of you. And I'm grateful for the time that you have spent with me. You can remain in final relaxation, or you can roll onto your side, push yourself up into a seated position. I'm very happy to have spent this hour with you. I'm grateful that you have devoted time to your yoga practice. The teacher in me honors the teacher in you. The student in me honors the student in you. And I dedicate the merit of my practice. And your practice, you could dedicate it how you like. I'm dedicating mine to those who are suffering and times of war. Deep bows to all of you.